Hey, Lara here. I'm just going to share a little sequence for you, focusing on the neck and the shoulders and releasing the thoracic spine or the middle of your back and your upper back a little bit too. So we'll start by warming up the ankles and the knees just a smidge to sit cross-legged, and we'll go from there. So legs are straight out in front of you, feet are either together or a little apart if your back feels sensitive. Palms or fingertips just outside of the hips, depending on the length of your arms. Pushing into your palms or those fingertips to lift the chest, a little front ribs to back ribs if you know you're super bendy. You might take your hands a little behind you if it's tricky to straighten out that back. And then flex and point. Keep those heels on the ground. Make sure you don't lift those heels and hyperextend the knees because they're a pain to fix. Most important part is your breathing, focusing on every inhale, every exhale. Point those toes in slow circles. Try to keep the knees as still as you can. The more you isolate the movement to the ankle itself, the more you stabilize the knee at the same time. Strengthen all of those calf and shin muscles. And swap in directions. Keep lifting up the chest, taking those shoulders back and down gently. Never forcing, never straining. Sometimes I like to think about it as kind of 50% effort and 50% ease. Never overdoing it, but not robbing yourself of going to your edge either. All right, and then flex those feet. Keep the feet flexed. Curl your toes. Keep your toes curled. Point your feet. Keep your feet pointed. Flip just the toes back to you. Spreading them wide. Flexing, curling, pointing, and flipping. Flexing, curling, pointing, and flipping. Bending one knee and then the other. And then we'll cross the right shin in front of the left, walking the feet wide until the knees come down heavy. And ideally you want those ankles right under the knees. If you notice your knees are quite high up and it's tricky for your back here, then taking a block and then sitting on that block, giving yourself a little bit more height in order to let those hip flexors relax and open up over time. Outer edges of those feet kicking into the floor, chest lifts, shoulders relaxing. Let's work with the shoulders a little bit to start here. So fingertips come to the shoulders, squeeze those shoulders with the fingers, reach those elbows away from you. Draw your elbows together and apart. Try to keep the elbows in line with the shoulders if it's available. Belly draws in and up, front ribs squeeze together. Maybe the whole rib cage can lift up away from the pelvis, away from the hips a little bit. Try to work both arms equally. Reach those elbows towards one another in front of the chest. Don't worry if they touch or not, doesn't matter. Thighs pushing down to the floor, keeping the pressure out of those knees. And then big circles going forward. Reaching the elbows away from you. Focus on every breath. And you can always make those circles smaller. You can always take a break. Lengthening those elbows away from the shoulders. Still actively pressing those feet to the floor. Try to keep that neck relaxed, the forehead and the jaw. Try to be relaxed in both those areas throughout your little practice. One of the yoga practitioners and teachers that brought yoga to the West to a great deal and really spread the practice around quite a lot and quite well known is Mr. Iyengar. One of the quotes he said is tension in the brain or tension in the face equals tension in the brain. And I always thought that was a good one because if you're like clenching your jaw or scrunching your forehead, chances are your mind's feeling pretty tense too, you know? Let's go backwards with our circles. Focus on the breath. Rest when you need to. Remember, this is your body, your practice. Do what feels good for you. Try to go for maximum range of rotation in your shoulder joint, creating as much space from shoulder to elbow as feels comfortable and available to you. All right, and then elbows in line with shoulders. Elbows lift up a little and then down a little. Maybe the movement grows. Move with your breathing. Remember to listen to those knees throughout. If at any point your knees are feeling cranky, you can bring one foot forward, the other foot forward. You can straighten out one leg or the other. Take any other seated position that feels comfortable for you. You could also do this sequence standing as well, or seated in a chair. And then elbows in line with shoulders, extending those arms and bending the arms. Try to keep those elbows equal distance away from the floor. Try to keep a slight bend in those elbows as you extend, not hyperextending, but keeping a gentle, gentle bend, teensy bend, micro bend, perhaps, if you will, in those elbows as you almost straighten them. Squeezing those fingers like you're holding onto the bottom of a saucer. Try not to let those shoulders hunch to your ears, but let them relax a little bit. 50% effort, 50% ease. You always want to be able to smile still. All right, and then palms face forward, fingers squeeze, palms down, palms up. Nice work. Let those shoulders melt. And then extending those arms, fingertips come together and apart. Again, you want a slight bend in those elbows, a slight bend in all the knuckles. Try to keep those angles of the joints consistent as the fingertips come together and the arms come wide. Move with your breath. Lengthening from shoulder to elbow, elbow lengthening to wrist, wrist lengthening to each of your finger and thumb tips. Nice. One more. Bring those fingertips to touch. Relax the arms. Big inhale, shoulders to the ears. Breath through the mouth. Nice. Let's take a little twist. Left hand to the right knee. Right fingertips coming behind you. Belly draws in, chest lifts. Twisting towards the right. Try not to let those hips move. Maybe drawing that left hip back a little to compensate for the twist. Keeping the pelvis neutral as best you can. Gaze coming over the shoulder if that feels good for you. If you want to deepen the twist, the back of that left hand can come outside that right knee, which will allow you to increase the amount of sensation in the upper back and shoulders. If you don't need the right fingertips for support, you can bring the back of that right hand outside the lower back here or the outer edge of your left waist. Pushing the backs of the hands into the body, reaching the elbows apart to deepen your twist a little bit. Reaching that left hip back just a smidge to keep those hips level. Deep breaths. Next inhale, coming back forward, nice and slow. Chest lifts, right hand to left knee, left fingertips behind you, belly draws in as you twist. Try to keep the right hip drawing back slightly, keep those hips level. Maybe bringing the back of the hand outside the knee if you did on the other side. Maybe bringing those left fingertips to the lower back or the back of the hand to the waist. Elbows reach apart. Backs of the hands push into the body. Turning the gaze if you haven't already. Deep breaths. Pull those collarbones apart. Push into the feet. Push those thighs to the floor. Inhaling to come back forward nice and slow. Chest lifts, shoulders relax. And then taking one hand to each knee, bringing the right foot forward, the left foot forward. Walking those feet a little bit wide, straightening out one leg and then the other. Fingertips outside those hips to lift the chest. You can stay here, flex and point the ankles a little bit. Probably can't see my ankles right now, but a little bit of flexing and pointing, same as before. Keeping those heels on the ground. And then a little flexing, curling, pointing, and flipping. Flexing, curling, pointing, and flipping. One more. Flex, curl, point, and flip. And then bend those knees, walk those feet back together. This time crossing the left shin in front of the right. Walk the feet wide, knees come down heavy. Outer edges of the feet push into the floor. Chest lifts, belly draws in. Make sure you are on a block on this side if you were on the other side. And then when you're ready, you're going to bring your fingertips to touch. Elbows come directly in front of the shoulders, or reach those elbows away from you. And begin to straighten and bend. I'm going to keep all those knuckles just slightly bent. It's like you're squeezing those fingers together and drawing them apart at the same time, creating resistance. You want the inner line of that elbow connected, the inner line of the shoulder, outer line of the elbow, in line with the outer edge of the shoulder. Deep breaths. Reach those elbows away from you. Relax those shoulders as best you can. Try to keep the inner and outer wrist of equal length, noticing if you shorten on one side or the other, trying to have it as even as possible for you. And then bending, taking the hands a little apart, arms come wide, fingertips back to touch. Keep pushing those thighs to the floor, the feet to the floor, belly draws in and up. Nice work. And fingertips come to touch, bring those arms back down, release, big inhale, full exhale. Nice work. And then hopefully you'll have another block or a book handy. If not, you can always just work those palms a shoulder, or short distance apart, about a shoulder's distance apart, without the block as well. No big deal. Taking that block between your palms, reach those fingertips away from you. Squeezing that block, inhaling to bring it up, exhaling to bring it down. I'm going to push the ribs and the belly back gently, lengthen those fingertips away from you. Try to pull those elbows apart just a teensy bit if you have bendy elbows. Nice work. The next time you come up, holding up, reach that block away from you, pull the ribs back gently, pull the belly back gently, lift up as high as you can, and then let those shoulders melt just a smidge. Nice work. Relax your neck. 2 more breaths. Nice. And then reach that block away from you, bringing the wrists and the elbows level with the shoulders, and then bending and straightening. Remember, you can work this without the block as well, squeezing those fingers together, imagining you were squeezing a block. And then next time you bend, holding bent, reach those forearms away from you. It's like you can either let those shoulders retract into the joint, or you can reach those elbows away from you a little bit, creating a little bit more space in the joint. So you don't want to go as far as you can, you want to go right in between, particularly if you're pretty bendy. This feels like enough, stay here. If you need more, try to keep the angle of the elbows, lift up a little, lower down a little. Nice work. See if you can do 3 more. You're stronger than you think you are. Good stuff. Last one. And release all the way down. Place that extra block beside you if you're using one. Release your palms. Lift your right shoulder, straight up, straight down. Equally drawing it up, equally drawing it back down with control. Keep listening to those knees, your ankles, your back. Adjust your seated position at any time if you need to. Remember, you can always do this seated in a chair or standing. Use your options. And then opposite shoulder lifting and lowering. Try to let your arm, your hand be heavy. Isolate the movement to the shoulder. Nice work. All right, and both shoulders roll forward, little circles forward. Shoulders going back, up, forward, and down. And backward circles. Good stuff. And don't worry if your shoulders pop and crack a little, as long as there's no pain associated with that sound or sensation. All right, let those shoulders go back and down. Take your right ear towards your right shoulder, nice and slow. If this feels like enough, stay here. If you want more, gently turn your chin towards that right shoulder. Never forcing the neck, just moving into whatever space is already available. Big inhales, full exhales. Chest lifting, chest sinking. Your next inhale, head comes back up super slow. And then eventually left ear towards left shoulder. Sticking here or turning your chin towards the shoulder if you did on the other side. Continuing to focus your mind on your breathing. When you're ready, head comes back up through center, nice and slow. Push into the feet, the legs, lift the chest, draw that belly in, and then lift the chin a little, looking towards the ceiling. Now, if you've never had a neck injury, never had neck pain, then you can allow your head to go all the way back. Otherwise, stay right here. Just work on a really gentle stretch for that neck. Being mindful of the neck the whole time. If at any point dropping the head all the way back doesn't feel good, don't do it. Back off, nice and slow. If it is comfortable, head can drop, nice and slow. If you want more still, fronts of those shoulders reach back a little. Collarbones pull apart. Try to relax the jaw, relax the forehead. And then pushing into the feet, drawing the belly in. Slowly, slowly lift the chin, and then slowly, slowly take the chin towards the chest, lengthening the back of the neck, taking the fronts of those shoulders back again if you would like more sensation. Now it's nice to stay still here. It's also nice sometimes to roll the chin just a little to the right and just a little to the left. But as you can see, we're working with a really small, slow movement here. So we're not taking the chin as far as it'll go. We're going super, super slow, super steady. Like a slow motion movement, if you will. And then making sure you've gone from right to left one more time. If you're turning the chin, bringing the chin back to center. Feet push into the floor to lift the chin again. Let's take those palms together. Reach those elbows away from you. Then take the hands a little to the right. Try not to allow that right elbow to go back, but reach it forward so the elbows are stacked with the wrists. And slowly take your gaze over the left shoulder, away from the hands. Let those shoulders melt a little if it's available to you, pushing into those feet. Slowly drawing the gaze to center, bringing the hands back to center and over to the other side. And then eventually the gaze turns away from those hands over the right shoulder. Try not to let the left elbow go back, but reaching it forward gently, stacking those joints of the forearms and elbows there. Slowly the gaze comes to center again, hands back to center, releasing those palms, and then one more twist. Left hand to the right knee, right fingertips behind you for support, belly draws in, chest lifts. Think about those hips being level, so in this case, often the right hip will try to go back, the left hip will try to go forward, so try to resist that left hip drawing back just a little to keep that sacrum pelvis as level as it can be. If you did on the previous crossing, you might bring the back of the hand to the outer knee, perhaps pick up those right fingertips, bring the back of the hand to the lower back or to the outer edge of your left waist, pushing the hands into the body to reach those elbows apart and deepen the stretch. Gazing over that right shoulder, breathing. Gently coming back forward, unwinding, chest lifts, right hand to left knee, left fingertips behind you. This time the right hip draws back just a smidge as we keep that lift, twisting to the left. If you did on the other side, back of the hand comes to the outer knee, into the left fingertips come to the lower back, or to the outer edge of the right waist this time. Pushing into the hands, reaching the elbows, turning the gaze and breathing. Remember, it doesn't matter which variation you're doing. It's most important that you're able to focus on your breath. That's the key here. You get so much more benefit the more you can focus on your breathing. Slowly coming back forward, taking your time. Once you come back forward, bringing one foot back forward, other foot back forward. Let's scooch so you can see what I'm up to here. Straightening out one leg and then the other. Fingertips, palms, fists, whatever is most comfortable for you to support yourself. So you do a little more flexing and pointing. Open up those knees and ankles a little. And if you were doing this sequence in a chair or standing, you may or may not want to release the ankles. You can certainly do so coming into a chair if you were standing, or doing so whilst you're in a chair. Pointing the toes and circles. And swap in directions. Flex the feet, curl the toes, point the feet, flip the toes. Two more. Flexing, curling, pointing, and flipping. Flexing, curling, pointing, and flipping. Bending one knee and then the other. Scooching a little forward on your mat so you've got space behind you. Hands come behind your thighs, making a C with the back. And coming down as slow as you can. Thighs push away from you, feet push into the floor. Belly draws in enough to support you. Let's come all the way down. Straightening out one leg and then the other. Moving any props out of your way if you need to. Maybe you lift the chest a little. And then relax those arms alongside you. Let every single cell of the body rest. Sinking into your mat just a little bit more. Letting go of any tension in the body or the mind as best you can. Being still, focusing on every breath. Slowly begin to deepen your breathing, waking the body slowly, slowly. Wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. You might want to take a stretch with the arms. You might want to rock the head a little from side to side. Eventually starting to walk those feet towards you, bending the knees. Then rolling. Traditionally we roll to the right side. You can roll to either side if that feels better for you. And then left hand coming in front of the chest to push yourself up. And then coming to find any seated position that works for you. Let's take 3 big breaths together. Big inhale, shoulders to the ears. Out through the mouth. 2 more. Letting go what no longer serves you. Nice. Let's dedicate the merit of our practice to being mindful of the words of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The more I see, the less I know, the more I like to let it go. Thank you so much for sharing your yoga with me today. Namaste. Have a good one.